trying to think of how to work this. Oh, in Super Smash Bros. For 3DS and Wii U, apparently they got you to play Magnus instead of Fred Tatasciore.
Yes.
Is there anything you know about why they had to go with you instead of him for that? Because I believe Palutena and Phosphora also got different voice actors from Uprising.
I don't know. I mean, it could have been a schedule thing. That is often it's a weird thing with, well, especially with video games. In anime, it's usually longer running, so there's a little bit more sort of a forgiving schedule to it. But especially with video games, depending on what it is, a lot of times they'll be like, here's what we want to get. And obviously we want to keep the consistency that we've had, but we also just have to get it done. So if we can't get who we want to get, then we will go from there and change things around. I've had times, it's the Faco. I've had times before where I've gotten brought in on a game session, not in this case, but just in general, when they've said like, look, and I'll, just in the spirit of, if it's someone I've worked with, they're like, look, just in the spirit of full disclosure, you weren't the first guy on our list, but the first guy on our list couldn't be here and it really had to happen today. And I've had sessions like that too where they say like, hey, can you come in tomorrow? Because it's tomorrow or nothing. And if it can't be you, then we'll just go to the next name down the list. So I don't know why, but I was definitely happy for the work and I tried my damnedest to match him, so.
However few lines you had for Magnus?
Wasn't much, a little bit. It was fun. Boom!
Hi again.
Your boyfriend is still crazy.
Always. How would Gamagori ask out Mako on a date? And can you give us a little piece of that with Gamagori's voice?
You're so happy. I'm not. But here's the reason. Because I like that concept, and I wouldn't want to, I kind of don't want to narrow down his options by saying it. Like, I know that I'm not canon, I know that it doesn't make it, official, but I kind of like leaving it in that space where, I don't know, because there's that shot in the credits. For those of you that have seen the whole thing. You guys know what I'm talking about? The shot in the credits? Yeah, I like that. And right now, with it just being this static shot in the credits, it harkens to this world of possibility. Like, what's gonna happen? I don't know. I don't know. Are they gonna make Mako babies? I don't know. According to the internet, yes they are. Because everyone's drawn them. Not making them, well, they're probably trying to make the babies too, but more the happy family with like mini Makos running around. So I'm not going to, but not to ruin your day, not do it. Just I'm not gonna do it because I like it as an idea, and I don't want to ruin it. I want to leave it in that place of pure possibility. That sounds like such actor BS, but it's not. I mean it. Because I do ship them. Because people are like, no. Someone told me early on that the people that were shipping them, that it was a total stretch. And then I watched the rest of the show. I'm like, that's not a total stretch.
They are like 95% canon.
Shit. I quite agree. I'm still going to steal that mug. Tripper, get the mug. Did you buy that here? When did you buy it? Son of a... It's fine. Oh, it's so cool. That's what I get for sleeping in late. But at least now I know they exist. I'm going to find one. I'm going to buy. How much was it? No, keep the I'll just Google. Oh, that's cool. You're setting yourself up for a real awkward time when this panel ends and you have to like run for it. They're like, as soon as you get in this room, we're jumping. Schultz yelled Beetlejuice 3 times and you guys would be done for. Yes, over here.
Before I ask my question, just wanted to mention, I actually know someone who raises alpaca. And apparently the fur is really soft and makes great socks and great sweaters.
It does. Also, it's hypoallergenic.
But the question I had is, I'm sure you've had fangirl moments where people can just come up to you and kind of, ah. Have you ever had a fangirl moment of your own where you met another voice actor? Oh my God, it's you. Have you ever done that?
I've gotten like that a little bit with people. it's less of the like flapping my hands, crying Beatlemania kind of thing, and more just I don't want to go up and bug them. You know what I mean?
Like, in terms of people you've worked with, like the people that you've admired, almost like, oh my God, I'm actually working with this person on a show.
Yeah. I mean, I've gotten that way a little bit, like speaking of Fred Tatasciore, because he's amazing and awesome, so, you know, when we get to be in the same thing, I'm like, oh, it's so good. Oh. I try to keep that to a minimum, though. I'm like, hey, Fred, you're really good. Like, really good. I mean, but for the most part, not so much with the people I work with, just because they're just people doing a job, and I mean, they're really good at doing the job, but since we're doing the same job, it sort of takes away the mystery of it, if that makes any sense. So not really active fangirling, but more just admiration. Like, I look around at the people that do what I do, and I'm like, there's a lot of talented people that do this. Like, I'm glad that I get to be on the team, even if it's sometimes in like the really big AAA blah blah stuff. It's like, you know, Man D, Soldier F, don't care, still made the team. You know what I mean? I feel like my career is that of the dude who, like, he's on the Super Bowl winning team, and he didn't really do anything, but he's still on the Super Bowl winning team, and he still gets a ring. So, good question. No one's asked that. Low in the ceiling. It's got like scales. What the actual hell? It's like the Junketsu ceiling. It's all spiky and evil. Yes.
So, as a voice actor, how did you do the transition with Gamagori's personality without keeping the brutal Punisher part in the later?
Well, I do notice that as we progress, there are a couple moments where he's not screaming all the time, which was a weird transition, because when you start a character who is literally just screaming all of the time, and then later you hit these points where he's still aggressive, he's still the same guy, but he's not actively screaming, there is a little bit of an adjustment vocally just to make sure that you're still consistent with the character. Again, it's that same thing. If we had started him yay far into the show, which we couldn't do because we didn't have materials that far ahead, we very often don't have everything from Japan when we start the show, just because we can't get it from them that quickly. And if you wait till you have everything, then it would take too long. But if we'd started later in the show, at that little more, I don't want to say chilled out, but you know what I mean, like that level Gamagori, had that as sort of the default, and then done the screaming stuff as the extreme, that might have been a different case. It still worked, it just means that when you get there as an actor, you know, I would do some of the lines, and the director, Alex Von David, would be like, too shouted, too aggro, pull him back a bit. I'm like, okay, cool. And after you've done a couple lines like that, then you realize, okay, same dude, but this is where he is when he's not actively beating a dude to death. So, it was an adjustment, but it was a natural adjustment, and I think we weathered the storm pretty well on that, so, good question. I like that question. You.
In terms of both writing and voice acting, you have an extremely enviable position of being in almost everything good. Like Helsing, One Piece, Steins Gate.
It's a good way to pay the rent.
Summer Wars, which I just saw last night.
It's so cool. Who here has seen Summer Wars? That and Wolf Children.
Yes!
You'll laugh, you'll cry, you'll cry some more.
Yes. And I just wanted to draw attention to two titles which I think are a little bit underrated. Monster, I love Monster so much. And Koi Kaze, that's a role that is, it's treading a line that's so, it's like the edge of a knife, but you play it so well.
Thank you.
It's an amazing experience. My question for you is, Matt Mercer answered, he did a Q&A I think like a month ago where he was talking about the JoJo, he's Jotaro. And in the Japanese, the same actor who plays Jotaro also does Star Platinum, you know, I believe he said that you were actually the voice of Star Platinum in the English version.
Which was a little weird.
Yeah.
Like, thematically, we're going to run into a wall where I'm fighting myself at some point, I'm sure.
Could you perhaps give us a little bit of muda?
No, only because I haven't done it. You know what I mean? Like, I have no official version of me doing it to harken back to. It would just be me riffing, and then the internet would be like, it's so bad! And then they'd drop a bulldozer on me. I know about the JoJo fans. They are a passionate crowd. I wanna do it in the booth for real and get it right before I go pissing them off. Also, I don't want to piss them off because if we only get those 3 episodes and that's it, I don't want them to be like, he's a hack! If we only get 3 episodes. If we get like entire seasons worth, then I'll do it and they'll hate it and they'll be like, he's a hack! But in the meantime, I want to keep that goodwill spinning for as long as I can. I want to mention though, because I think a lot of people probably haven't. Well, there was more response when you mentioned Monster than I was expecting. But who here has seen Koikaze? That's about one more hand than I was expecting. It's a show. It's worth a watch. It's from back in the day when there was still a Jenny on Entertainment. It's about a dude who, like this dude in his 20s, salaryman, just kind of bopping his way through life, just kind of sleepwalking his way, falls in love with his sister, his actual blood sister, who he hasn't seen in years and years and years and sort of forgot she was alive. It's worth, if you can find it, which I think will be the main sort of roadblock for people watching it. If you can find it, it's worth watching. It ain't comfortable watching all the time, but it's well done because it's not like, you know, Oni-chan at the keyhole with his, you know, nosebleed. It's something that could be live action. It could very easily be live action. I think it helps it being anime because it takes it away from reality level. You know what I mean? It's not as uncomfortable to see it in anime form as to see it from like a live action TV show, but it could be because it's that real. The weird thing about that show is that was so early in my voiceover career. I haven't watched it in years, and I'm almost scared to because I think I would sit there and watch it from the perspective of where I am now and just be judging myself. You know what I mean? On a technical level, like, oh, I could have done that better, I could have done that better. But I also think, good times. I think that I probably, for better and for worse, couldn't do that performance today. I think there are probably things I did in that role that would be different if I tried doing it now because I've been doing this for 14, 15 years. You know what I mean? There'd be a level of polish on things where the technical proficiency would be better, but maybe it wouldn't be as honest, even with all of its flaws. It's worth a while. I'm glad you saw it. It's a hell of a thing. And Monster is finally out. Not in America, sadly, but it is on disc. For those of you that have been wanting to buy it and own it, you can do that now. It's a thing you can actually do. There's a company in Australia called Siren Media that put out the whole damn thing. So if you want to have it, and if you have a region free DVD player, go nuts. I finally got my copy, and it was gratifying to hold it and know that I owned it, because I put 1.5 years of my life in directing that thing. Like, that's a tough thing to, you know, at the end of the day, not have anything in a tangible archival form to show for it. So, Monster, and again, whether it's the manga, whether it's the Japanese, whether it's the English, that's a show worth looking into, because the story is that damn good. 72 or 74 episodes, never goes to filler, ever, ever. It'll switch over to a different set of characters sometimes. You're like, why are we following? Oh, and then you'll have that moment where they sort of pan out a bit, and you see the connection between these new people and the people that you've been following. It's a hell of a show. Question. I know I didn't really answer your actual question to your satisfaction, for which I apologize. But thank you for bringing up Koikaze and Monster. That much obliged. I'm gonna bop over here.
I was originally going to ask about Dio, but that sounds like it's still in the very early phases. So the other question I had was, in your work on League of Legends, normally you're working with a narrative script in games and anime, but how is it just kind of going in there, recording those various lines that you're just going to hear repeated? And how does that work maybe differ from what you normally do with that diverse cast you have in the game?
In the recording process for me, like as opposed to other things I work on, has it? Because the actual recording process itself is much the same. Just take it from the top down, give them a couple takes of something. Either they like one, or they're like, make it more aggro, less aggro, more volume, take more time, and do it until they like it, and leave the screamy, really painful death stuff until the end of the session. It's not. I mean, I've been feel like I'm all jaded saying this. I'm not. I don't feel jaded. I've been doing this kind of stuff long enough that going in for a session like that, where it's a bunch of utility lines, isn't so weird for me. It's not so much of a departure. I mean, I know it's not a fighting game like a console fighting game. It's it's a real-time strategy, but it's that same sort of idea of you're going to be saying a lot of utility lines. I mean, I play video games. I've been playing video games ever since I was 3 years old. And I remember, which I don't know if it's cool or sad, but I remember the night my dad walked in with the Atari 2600. And I don't have a lot of memories of being young, but I remember that box. Maybe I somehow knew that was going to be my life in so many respects. But I think as a gamer, when I go in for sessions like that, it probably is easier because the director and the client aren't having to explain this concept to somebody that has no firsthand experience with it. You know what I mean? I mean, I never played Dota, but I've played enough real-time strategy games. Like, I know, like, okay, if they click on the gold mine and my unit's like, whoa, whoa, like, it's that kind of, it's gonna be that kind of thing. It's just a response line to let the player know that I'm doing a thing, or, to tell them to, guard the top lane, guard the middle lane, guard the bottom, or there's people in the jungle, or you gank this. I mean, between League of Legends and stuff like Smite, that I also did some voices for. I don't know if anyone here plays Smite. A couple people, okay, good times. It's not too different for me just because I know what this stuff means. But if I were coming in like, yeah, I've done theater in Chicago and I'm fresh off of Broadway and I've never done any VO work, it would be, I'm sure that would be there'd be a learning curve. But it's pretty much the same thing on my end. Thank you. You're welcome. Good question. Bam!
Hello.
Oh.
I have a Kill the Culprit related kind of two-part question.
Now, is it two questions or one question with like two heads? Either is fine, I just want to know.
Kind of similar questions, but if you personally were going to Hanoji Academy as a student, what would your Goku uniform powers be?
Oh man. I think, what would my powers be? It would...
Or like what club would you be in?
I've got different answers. The club I would be in, okay, so I was that dude in high school who not only was the president of the chess club, but also like did the paperwork and founded the chess club. As far as what powers I would have, using myself in high school as sort of the example for this, I would probably have the power to clone myself, because I was that dude in high school who was like, yes, I'm gonna be in the musical, I'm gonna be on the swim team, I'm gonna do yearbook, I'm gonna do the newspaper, I'm gonna do all these clubs, I'm gonna do this and that, because I was that guy, and thankfully I got over that now. I live a life of sloth. But I was that dude. So I would either have the power to clone myself, to do all these various events. Granted, it's easier to do when you're 17. Now that I'm all old and gray, I'm like, how did I ever get along without the sleep? But also a cool power, I think, would be, and this is my answer to people like, if you could have a superpower, what would it be? I would like to be able, you guys are gonna be like, stupidest superpower ever. I would like to be able to read, speak, and understand every language. Yeah. Which doesn't really do much for you when you're up against a scissor blade. I could yell stop in 50 different languages. But I think that'd be cool. That'd be my power. I don't know what my suit would look like though. The character design is so awesome on the show. Like I got to meet the guy who did the character design for it, Sushio. He's a character himself. Yeah, I think those would be my powers. Either cloning, polyglot abilities, and maybe president of the chess club. Because some of those clubs, as they go on in the series, get a little like, wow, you're really scared of the bottom of the barrel in these clubs. Okay, it's fair. Whatever. It's a poetry club. Yeah.
And then second part was, since you said you used to be a teacher, would you teach at Hanoji Academy?
Well, I'd keep my damn shirt on if I did. Let me tell you, the former English teacher part of myself was like, son, you cannot. They're gonna fire your ass. You're gonna blow your cover, son. This is not how you go. Teaching at Hanoji Academy seems like a pretty good gig. I mean, I've only ever seen one person teaching, and they taught for a grand total of 5 minutes. The rest of the time, they just seem to be up in the break room, like looking out the window, worried, like, oh, what's that Satsuki girl up to now? So, Yeah, I think that'd be a pretty easy gig, assuming you don't die. You know, short of dying, that seems like a pretty good job. Good benefits, cool people to work with, 50-foot tall.